Next question, Kyle.
We have Corey Rudenforth. Do you guys see Richard Hart tokens going down more at the end of the year than they already have lately? What's the possibility you'd give that, or yeah, you give that happening
Well,
much love?
it all depends on how we pump.
Yeah,
If we
exactly.
if we pump up and then we dump down, then no. But if we don't do much of a pump and then the market dumps down, then yeah, we'll go lower.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we have Avidian Hex. Do you think Pulse Chain pulls back more, or should we load up as much as we can right now?
I somehow I couldn't hear that. Sorry. Can you say that again?
Yeah, no problem. Do you think Pulse Chain pulls back more, or should we load up as much as we can right here?
Obviously, I was saying on stream to buy at 7 and 8, and it's at 10. So it's really not that. I mean, to tell you the truth, it's really not that far off. Like
Yeah. Well, yeah, because kind of like we were talking about on my stream just
Right.
before we started here, right? I have to go back and look at the chart, literally see the range that we were talking about. But go back to that stream and look at the range me and DCC were talking about. It's basically if you go from the high to the low and do a fib retracement up to the 0.618 area, which is like, I think maybe a few, I don't know how many percent, maybe 10% higher than where we are now, something like that. Not much, 5 to 10%. Basically in that area from where we're at now up to there, or from where we started the move, just at the 0.786, that whole area there, you can basically dollar cost average into it. So but to be honest, I would say in terms of time, if you're looking to get into Pulse, probably the next 3 weeks is the period to look at that. And then in terms of price, up to that 0.618, and then you're good. But in the reason why I say 3 weeks is because Bitcoin's already obviously hit its cycle low. The altcoins will try to come up and match that, but they really won't get, I think, more tailwind like in a substantial way. Like they'll start like really running, I think, when we come around July 4th. But until then, there could be some volatility. So that volatility might be what that you average into. But do you need to put like everything into it right now? The answer is of course not. But would you do well by doing so? It's a very good possibility of doing so, especially if Bitcoin runs more than just this current 60-day cycle, which would go into late July, early August. If it continues to run, into late September, early October, that's the period where then you would have been happy to kind of go a little bit heavier into Pulse Chain, because then you'll have to take profits at some level, right? Because there will be a pullback of 50% or more at some point as well.
Right. Share the screen for 1 second. And on top of that, too, one other thing, right, is like we talked about this. Go check out my FOMC breakdown meeting. But pretty much the Fed on this June 14th meeting, which is right here, pause rates at 5.25. And it's not very likely that we're going to get an increase in July. The next supposed place where we could actually get some raises is going to be September and November. But depending on the Fed, if maybe they just see that they're trying to let this market run a little bit before they start really jacking the rates up again, another 50 to 75 basis points, that means we might not even have a rate hike until October, November. That's 2.5 months from now. So 2.5 months, no raises, and everyone knows it's only 50 more basis points. That gives us a really good opportunity to actually run finally before because what they're trying to do is allow the other reason why they wouldn't increase the rates is because they're allowing the rate to stay there. So everyone's thinking like, oh, how long are they going to hold it at 7.75 or 5.75 or at 6% flat? No, they're technically they've just honey baited you. They're holding it at 5.25 for longer, and then they raise it up. So they're allowing the rates catch up to 5.25. So it's putting tons of pressure on real estate. And then if you go back to that breakdown, he was saying is that out of all the industries that haven't crashed enough,
Yep.
housing services hasn't crashed enough.
Yeah, there was a sign I saw out here in Las Vegas when I was driving around that was saying something like, it was just the most ridiculous, like, why would I buy a house like that? It was like, house it needs that's like has some fixing up to do or whatever. Now, slash from 500,000 to like 350. I'm like, just wait a year for those motherfuckers, because they ain't gonna be. Who's gonna be driving around and see the sign on a piece of paper and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go and call that number and buy that house. Like, I don't know about that. Maybe there'll be some people, but
Hi, Charlie. My name is BlackRock. Nice to meet you.
True. The Californian real estate companies will come in and scoop that shit up, maybe, but they'd be smarter to wait for that person to basically, in a way, get liquidated in sense of right. They're going to be so far down, right, in value,
Right.
that they're going to have to puke up and sell just to make money to stay liquid if they went over allocated in real estate, essentially. So some of these houses, I would say, like once we come to the spring of next year, we've been talking about this quite a lot, right? And like around that time, right, you could, or maybe the first half of next year or something like that, you could probably squeeze out a really good deal on, unfortunately, people who over leverage themselves in real estate and basically are hurting, their pain is your gain.